Hello everyone, Rampa here. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to set up a cart to be pushed by one of your avatars. This allows me to rotate the cart for steering. I can have the cart closer into the character. And then the character themselves, I can have them change postures that they're in. So maybe I want him standing up a little straighter, for instance. He doesn't have such a heavy load in his cart. And then, of course, pushing the actual cart. So let's get started. I'll start with a new project, and then I want to go find my cart that I downloaded. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is some setup on the cart. The first thing I changed was where the pivot was on the cart. It defaults to the center of the cart, and I actually want it at the back because that's where carts turn when you yank on the handles. So I'm going to go into its modify panel, go down to the pivot section, engage the edit pivot button, and with my transform gizmo I'm going to move the pivot back to the rear wheels and then disengage edit pivot. Alright, so that part's done. The next step is to have some targets for the character to reach to with the reach targets. So to do that, I'm going to add a cube to my scene, and I'm going to scale it down quite a bit. You can just use the gizmo, or you can use the modify panel window. So I'll make a little smaller cube, and then I need to put it up about where I want the hand to be. So this is going to be the character's right hand. And then I want a duplicate, so I'm holding down Control and dragging on the gizmo to drag off a duplicate. And let's see if I got them kind of lined up more or less correct. I think I want that one. Looks pretty good. I'm going to put this one out just a touch wider. There, like that. Okay, now I need those to actually be connected to the cart. So I'm going to hold down Control so I can select both of them. Then I'm going to right click, and I'm going to use link. You can use attach if you want. Either one is fine. Either one works in this case. I'm using link because it allows me to select those cubes when I have any gizmo selected. If you use attach, you have to use the select tool to select them and then go and choose your gizmo. So it just is a quicker step for me in this case, because I am going to have to be manipulating these around a bit to get the hands properly placed. Okay, so the cart is ready at this point. I'm going to go ahead and add a character to my scene now. I'll choose Christian. Alright, so I want Christian to be able to walk, and I don't want to have to hook him up to a path and do all that complicated stuff. So I'm going to load a persona. I'll use the Mason persona. And then I'm going to move Christian back behind the cart, just behind it. He doesn't need to be way behind it yet, because we're going to move stuff around later. Right now I just want to get him so it's easy to line up his hands to the points here. Alright, so at this point, I'm going to have him align his hands. So I will go into the animation, reach targets, and I'll select his right hand, and then where I want him to reach. And it's very important that he has rotation turned on in this case. Even though it'll look funny, we're going to fix that in a minute. Okay, so those are hooked up. You're done with the reach targets. Now we're going to go and manipulate these cubes to get his hands in the proper position. So I can see they both need to roll forward first. So I'm going to select both of them, roll them forward, and then at this point I need to rotate them in opposite directions, so I cannot do them simultaneously. So I'm doing one first and then the other. Okay, so it's not incredibly important to get them perfectly placed yet, because we're going to apply an animation, and that often changes stuff up a little bit. I might move them a little closer to where it looks like they need to be right now. So there, and we'll also have him grip the handlebar after the animation, because the animation includes the fingers being open, and so it will open them up again. So we're going to do that after we get him moving. Okay, so I have the avatar set up. I have the cart set up for all but the last step, and that is to connect the cart to the avatar. And I'm going to use link, and then click on the hip bone. Now, this is very important. You need to now go into your modify panel to the linkage section, and see I clicked on the thigh twist, and we actually want it on the, you cannot click on the bone root, so you have to go and select it, bone root, and hit OK. Now when the character moves, the cart will move too. Alright, at this point I'm ready to animate. I'm going to give myself a little space to work with. Get kind of a top view here. It makes it easy to line stuff up. In fact, I could even turn my grid on if I wanted to and make him walk in a real straight line. And I'm going to use the move command of the persona. So walk forward. I'll have him walk forward to about here. That could have been a path that I clicked on to have them follow a path just as well. But for now, we'll just do a straight walk. All right, so that part is all working. Now, I actually want him to be in his starting pose already, which is it offsets when it loads the motion in. So I'm just going to back the motion up right to the beginning. So he's standing there ready to go, and then he just, starts walking. He doesn't have to do that transition from the kind of default pose it was in originally to this. So it'll just go. All right, now make sure you're at the first frame here when you do this next step. I'm going to select the cart. I'm going to push it forward a little bit. And don't worry about his arms straightening out or even coming away from his hands there. That's just fine. I'm going to make it look like there's a little bit of weight in the cart. So now, when I have the cart moved forward, I'm also going to then edit the position of the character. Bend him forward a little bit so it looks like he's pushing on that cart. And at this point, I can close his hands up as well. So I'm going to use the hands here and just drag downward from the palm marker, and it closes the palms into fists. Okay, let's see what we have. Character pushing the cart quite nicely. One more thing is to go ahead and select the cubes, and you can either set them to dummies, and then you can show and hide them with a Control D, or you can just go in your scene manager and turn off the visibility of them. Either way works fine. Okay, so now we have them all hooked up to the cart. And again, we can select the cart and we can do the steering, and his hands will follow the steering. We can move the cart in closer to him again if we want to. And change his posture so he's standing up again. Maybe the cart's not so full, or this character is, you know, in the grocery store rather than pushing the cart along the street. Okay, so there you go. I hope that's very helpful for someone.